Hey guys, it's me, Kate again. So in this video, I'll be talking about all the books that I read in September. There is a lot of them. Considering that I was back in school and was on a trip with the said school for 4 days away, so basically, how did I manage to read 52 books? I have no idea. But today we're going to talk about all of them. There is a lot. The beginning of the month, I was still on the break. I started school on 6th. And so some of these books I read while I still technically was on the break. I'll need to use my phone because, as I said, I read 52 books, so the blurbs might start to blend in my head, so so the first book that I read was Blood Like Magic by no, that was the second book. The first book was Blood Trust by Eric van Lasman Bader. This is a political thriller following niece of the president, who becomes the prime suspect in the murder of her ex, I think, and that leads to this more political plotline that is involved because she is the niece of the president. I really enjoyed it. This book, it was a reread, and I actually was in 2 readathons this month, which I forgot to say. And this book fulfilled the prompt. Let me just check. No. For the magical readathon, which was Obsidian Falls, read a thriller or a mystery book. The next book that I read was Blood Like Magic by Leslie Sampuri. This was part of one book club that I left in the meantime. But so this book is about a young witch who is just about to get her calling, and that leads into and she basically her calling, and to get her powers she has to ruin her first love's future, so she seeks out the boy to fall in love with and then ruin his future. But the thing is, she never was in love, and there are some sci-fi elements in that. There is this company that, based on your DNA, gives you your perfect match. And I use that one to fulfill the prompt for urban background, which was one of the additional prompts that I didn't do. I'll walk you through the prompts that I did and did for my actual Path of Magical Return, which I fulfilled with other books, so it was for urban book, read a book set in the city or town. The next I read, this is How You Lose the Time War, which is about by Amal El Mohtar, which is about two time travelers who are fighting to win this time war, and we all know them by their monikers Blue and Red. And basically it goes, and they are telling to time and leaving each other on notes, and they fall in love through those notes. I gave it 1 star. Sorry, I didn't say. I gave Blood Like Magic 3 stars. It was okay, but it was nothing great. I thought it was boring at parts. I gave 1 star to this How You Lose the Time War. It is really short, but it is so boring. The next book I read is Dinner with Vampire by Abigail Gibbs. In this one we're following Violet Lee, who after witnessing a brutal massacre of about 30 men, she gets kidnapped by the group of vampires who actually did that massacre. And turns out one of them is the heir to the vampire throne, and one of the others is his younger brother. So they take her to the vampire court with them. I gave this 5 to 5 stars. This is probably my favorite book of the all time, even though this year I found one that might push it down. And for the Magical Readathon, it was for Ruin the Sky, read the book featuring ghosts, haunting house, or the other supernatural elements. So the next book that I finished was One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, which is about these two women who actually meet at the subway and fall in love. But turns out one of them is actually stuck on the subway since the 70s and hasn't aged a day since then. So that leads to them trying to save her. Then I finished Child's Play by Danielle Steele. This is a contemporary book following a lawyer and her family as some of their deepest secrets starts to go out. And we're following that family trying to deal with all of that. This was a really good book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's like also as the One Last Stop. The next book that I finished was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. In this one we are following a girl who gets into this school and goes in this school. Also, I used Child's Play for Ashen Tree Prompt for the Magical Readathon, which is a book that keeps tempting you on top of your TBR, and that's so A Good Girl Guides to Murder. So in this school there was a girl that was killed, and everybody suspected her boyfriend, who was eventually even charged for murder, and then presumably killed himself in the prison, but our main character starts to investigate that case again. So because she and the boy's brother try to find the actual killer. The next two books that I finished were Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas, first two books in the Throne of Glass series. These books are in this series we are following Selena Sardotian, who is an assassin, and basically she goes around killing people, but before the events of the first book she's actually caught, and the beginning of the book she's in a mine working as a slave. And one day captain of the King's Guard comes and takes her to the Crown Prince, who asks her to be his champion in this thing they're doing to become King's assassin. I completely forgot the plot of that one again. The next book that I read was Sight by Neal Shusterman. Also, those two were rereads, gave them 5 out of 5 stars. Crown of Midnight I used for Magical Written for the prompt Etheria. Read a book that features Fey element characters, and for Becca's Coppola turn or monsters, and also I use Throne of Glass for monsters. But again, I'll go through all of that at the end of the video. So, Sight by Neal Shusterman. In that book we're following two Sight apprentices, and in this futuristic world, the humanity has conquered death, and there are these Sights who actually glean people to contain the population. So and keep it at bay. So our two main characters are taken as Sight apprentices, and stuff goes from there. Then I finished All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. This book is a memoir about our author, and in this one he talks about him being gay and black, and also struggling with his gender identity. This book was great. His writing is great. I think that definitely a lot of people need to read this one, and I love how it looks under the dust jacket. It's like this pale blue color with pink writing on the spine. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I try not to rate my non-fiction on Goodreads, but I love this so much, and that I had to rate it 5 out of 5 stars. The next one that I finish is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. That is a group of... No, that's a story about a group of... So it starts with our main character just about her ceremony where if her blood runs red, she will stay in the village, but if it runs gold, she will be an outcast. And her blood does run gold, But then this woman comes and says to her that she can become a part of this all-female army with all the girls same as her. And I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was a great book. So I used All Boys Aren't Blue for let me just check. Actually nothing. I think that was my TBR game, and then I chose to do it for additional Poem for Human to read a contemporary or non-fiction book. And yeah, the Gilmans didn't use for anything. Then I read To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. So this book is about a girl, a siren, who is sent by her mother to the shore to take to kill the prince and come back to the sea with his heart, but that ends up being easier said than done. So we're following our main character as she's battling with loyalties either to the prince or to her mother. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was really fun. Then I read The Raven and the Dove by Caitlin Davis. I listened to the audiobook. I loved it. I either gave it 5 or 4 stars. I'm not sure. On Goodreads it says 5 stars, but in my bullet journal it's 4 stars. Definitely I really enjoyed it. It's about... So in this world, one part of the world was flown into the air on these islands, and now the people who live on those islands basically have wings. And our two main characters are... One is a raven, actually has raven wings, another one has dove wings, and basically they try but they can't be together, and it's also a retelling of Tristan and Isolde. If you know that story, how it ends. This ends in a similar way, but not exactly. Then I read the ebook of Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo, which is the second book in Grishaverse. In the original trilogy. So in this series we're following Alina, who is one of the common people and is an orphan. But one day she finds out she actually has powers, which says her to go to the Grisha Academy, where she learns how to use her magic. In this second book I gave 4 out of 5 stars. These are good, but they're not great. I used The Raven and the Dove for Sky Moon. Read a book, read one of the oldest books on your own or have on your TBR, and that was one of the books that I had on my TBR the longest. Even though not physical, but I listened to the audiobook. And then I read the ebook of Hidden Gem by Lisa Casey, which is her other paranormal romance series, in which we were following Psy named Aki, who works in this club, and one day he actually needs to help a detective in a case, and basically it's romance between him and that detective. And then I read Wolf by Kalen Allen, which I gave 3 stars. I think that's this one. So, it's about a guy named Wolf and it's romance. Nothing really interesting. Then I finished the audiobook of The Missing of Claire Toon by Christelle Dabois, which is second book in the Mirror Visitor series. And in this series we're following a girl named, what's her name? Ophelia, and she's who lives in this world where basically continents have dissolved into these plateaus, and she's married off to the guy on the other plateau, and we're following her as she discovers more of her world. Okay, I got lost. But then I apparently read Thatcher's Mate, which I gave 4 out of 4. I gave The Missing of Claudine 3 out of 5 stars, also to Wolf, and to Hidden Gem I gave 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Thatcher's Mate, which I gave 4 out of 5 read, and it's exactly as it says. It's super paranormal romance with mates. Male romance, I think. Then I read Why Love Matters by Jay Suk, which is also a male romance. I think this one is contemporary. I don't really remember much of it, but I remember it was good. Then I read Alpha Hole by Didi Pierce, again this is a contemporary romance that I gave 3 out of 5 stars, nothing memorable. Then I read Trouble, again 3 out of 5 stars, by Eileen Glass. Again, not much to say about it. Then I read Omega's Fate, which I gave 2 out of 5 stars. Again, Fated Maid story, nothing interesting. I think it's male, and it's by Kenna Grace. Then I read Claiming His Mate, which is paranormal romance. It was not really good. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I was on a paranormal romance kick at this point, as you can see. Then I read Alliance by Marriage, which is like fantasy sci-fi blend, where the king takes one of the rival king's kids to be his spouse. And I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I'm back. So, where did we left off? Oh, here. I got lost. Then I reread the entirety of the Winter trilogy. I didn't annotate the Barrington Nightingale yet, because that was soon before I was leaving for the trip, so I needed to read them quickly. In this series we're following a girl named Vasya who can see all Russian spirits, and as her mother died in a childbirth, one day her father decides to remarry, and his new wife brings priest with her, and when the priest starts converting everybody in this remote Russian village to the Christianity, people stop bringing sacrifices to the old spirits who cannot protect the village anymore. Then I reread also Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell, which is about Kellen who is just about to take his mage trials, but his magic starts to fail, so he decides to cheat as any normal person would, and stuff goes from there. I also then we read, everything is falling. Apparently, Aurora Rising and Aurora Burning by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which are first two books in the Aurora cycle. In this series, we're following Squad 312, who are the band of misfits and are trying to save the galaxy. I'm too lazy to give you the full synopsis for all of these books near the end. I also reread Half Lost by Sally Green, which is third book in Half Bad trilogy. We're following a boy called Nathan who has been in a cage since he was 14, and he needs to escape in order to get his gifts and blood from his family member or his 17th birthday. Let me just check. I used Spellslinger for William Academy arc for magical readathon to read a book with a school setting. The Bear and the Nightingale for the Provincialing read a book. A Wildling read a book set in a forest or outside, and The Winter of the Witch for Elf, Moon or Stars on the cover or in the title. And I double up that with Becca's Bookoplaton. I used The Bear and the Nightingale for new, and Spellslinger and The Winter of the Witch for randomize your TBR. Also for the magical readathon, then I used Aurora Burning for Kendra read the book in an ongoing series, and that was Aurora Burning. Aurora Rising I used for Dwarf with the science fiction. Then I read Yorgana Secret by R.L.M. Hawkes. So in this book we're following Yorgana, who has always dreamed of freedom, but ever since her mom died, she's been living on her father's ship dressed as a cabin boy named George. And here comes new Lieutenant Dominic Payton, who is new to the ship, and one day sees George being bullied, so he helps him. And now Yorgana is battling between, is she going to tell him that she is George or not? I use this one for, let me just check. Tower of Illumination, read the 5-star prediction, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I was right to put as 5-star prediction. Then I was on a kick of paranormal romance again, so I read Twilight Ziggurat, which is a romance between Archangel Gabriel and a vampire by someone whose name I cannot pronounced and gave 4 out of 5 stars. And also in that same kick, I read Omega's Deception by Lillian Sable, which is, I believe, male romance, or I don't know. I gave 2 out of 5 stars. It was Then I finished listening to The Black Flamingo by Dinata. It was a great book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was really quick audiobook and I really enjoyed it. Now we go to my trip, where in 4 days I only finished 2 books. And all of the other books I finished in like 2 or 3 books a day until then. So 2 books in 4 days was like really slow for me this month. So the first book that I finished on the trip was On These Black Sands by Vanessa Ranson, which is about Aofi, who is an heir to the council, and when she comes of age of 20, she will be matched with one of the pirate lords and become full-fledged council lady. And we're following Captain Declan McClinton, who is a captain of a pirate ship, and when Aofi runs away from home, they team up to find this dagger. I gave 5 out of 5 stars episode. I loved it. The second book that I finished, then there was an audiobook of The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. This book, I expected it to be better than the first one, but I was even more bored. Gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I need to finish this trilogy so I can go on to the next trilogy in the Realm of the Undead, which is following Fitz again, so I need to listen to it. Then I read Cardinal Sins and Candleland by Lisa Casey, which are second and third book in Hidden Gems series. I talked about the first book a little bit earlier. I don't know how much earlier. I think I have been filming over half an hour at this point. Also, I read right after that an Arresting Ride and Range of Emotion from Lisa Casey, which are sequels to the book that I read in June, I believe, and it's like series of male contemporary romances. Then I listened to the audiobook of XOXO by XCO, which I really enjoyed. Gave 5 to 5 stars, definitely one of my favorites of the year. And I also read Serpent and Dove by Shelby McEwen physically. In this one, we're following a witch called Lou and the witch hunter, who are forced to marry because of something they might or may not do. So, and it's like really fun. Gave 5 out of 5 stars. I read also Inheritance by Robin Hobb, read it, and I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I read Alpha Blaze, gave it 4 out of 5 stars by Quinn Michaels. Again, I was on Paranormal Romance Geek. And then, only yesterday I finished the audiobook of The Strange Case of Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. In this series, in this book, we're following a group of women connected to like notable literature characters such as Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Frankenstein, and stuff like that. And they are trying to solve this mystery of this strange society. Then I read Cold-Hearted Reika by Elisa Kleypas, which is a historical romance. It was really good, gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I also read Alana the First Adventure by Tamora Pierce. It was okay, nothing great. In this one we're following a girl called Alana who has a twin brother, and she is just about to go to the finishing school and her brother to become a knight, but her brother really wants to study magic and she wants to be a knight, so they switch places. Then I read today actually Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I didn't like it. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars, but oh my god. And I also read When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars. It was okay. Now I'm going to go through readathons because I didn't mention them at the beginning. So I participated in 2 readathons. One was a magical readathon, really novice pet, and the other one was Becca's Bookoplaton. Magical readathon is hosted by G at Book Roast. I'll leave her channel link down below, along with Becca's from Becca and the Book School was host of Becca's Bookoplaton. So for the magical readathon we had a map which represent our novice pet, and we needed to read 2 of the prompts on that map, including novice pet entrance, so we can go all the way to the Aurelium Academy. But along the way we need to also build our character. For building your character you have until April, but you only could participate in the novice pet in September and following the readathon. Of course, I think you can do it throughout the year also, but kids won't be actively going. So I actually finished all of my prompts, and I even did some extra. So my core prompts were for background I was wildling, province Etheria, heritage elf, lunar phase was eclipse, and scholar's traits were asleep in class, loves reading, Jews, sings, and is a dancer. So my core prompts were novice path entrance, Ashton Tree Ruin the Sky, Obsidian Falls, Tower of Ruination, Aurelium Academy, Art, Wildling, Etheria, and Delph. For novice path entrance, which was read a book with a map, I read Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. For Ashton Tree, to read a book that keeps tempting you or is on top of your TBR, I read Child's Play by Danielle Steele. For Ruin the Sky, I read a book featuring ghost, haunted house or other supernatural elements. I read Dinner with a Vampire. Obsidian Falls, read the thriller mystery book. I read A Blood Trust by Eric something. For Tower of Formation, which was with a 5-star prediction, I read Gorgana's Secret by Alan Hawkes. For a William Academy arc, I read book with a school setting. I read Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell. For Wildling, I read the prompt was read a book set in a forest or outside. I read The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. For Etheria, read a book that features fae or elven characters. I read Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. For Elf, Moon, or Stars on the cover or in the title, I read The Winter of the Witch. And also I used some of the other books that I read this month to fulfill some of the other prompts, which would help my character to get little bit of a diverse background. So I also read Urban, which was a book set in the city or town. I used Blood Like Magic for that. For Cantor, read a book in an ongoing series. I used Aurora Burning. For Dwarf, which was read the science fiction, I used Aurora Rising. For Human, read a contemporary or not fiction book, I used All Boys Aren't Blue. And for Skemon, read a book read one of the oldest books you own or have on your TBR, which was The Raven and the Dove. For Becca's Bookoplaton, I had 4 rolls, one of which was a double, and I need to roll this one because of the double, and for one of them I needed to pick 2 books. So for roll number 1, I got Monsters and read Throne of Glass for that. For a second roll, I had the new hype, even though I use newish hype because I can bend the rolls, and read The Bear and the Nightingale. For roll number 3, I got random, random number generated 2 books, Spellslinger and The Winter of the Witch. And for roll number 4, I got Monsters again, and I used Crown of Midnight for that. If you like this video, like, share and subscribe. Down below you have my social media, my email and some other stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.